So my second area was where I started to really feel comfortable speaking German. And we were in church. I was understanding about, the normal amount of stuff I understand and getting what was going on. And then we had a member who was getting married to a sister who was out of North Germany, out of an area where they spoke Hochdeutsch. It was like kind of their dialect, so to say, where it was more common. And my second area, I should clarify, was in Upper Austria. Most people spoke pretty much only dialect. And so this lady from North Germany gets up and she starts bearing her testimony, just kind of introducing herself to the ward. And I understood everything and was just like, what happened? And that is when I first began to realize that there was a major difference between Hochdeutsch, what I had been studying and learning, and the different dialects, which I found out the only way I could differentiate, tell the difference between for that first little while was how much I actually was able to understand the person. It was a little bit more fun when I got into my last couple of areas, into Bayern and into Baden-Württemberg, because my German got to a point where it was good enough that I started to be able to hear and understand the differences between the different dialects. The two I had the most experience with was Bäuerisch and Schwäbisch. My personal favorite is Schwäbisch. It just kind of has this, it's a little bit, the intonation is a little bit more similar to Schweizerdeutsch, just because they're sitting a little bit closer to the Swiss border. They just kind of have this rise and fall, the Äffli and die Fehle, that just kind of runs throughout their dialect. You'll run into different words that are used by the different dialects, like in Schwäbisch, like to talk, to have a conversation with someone, mit jemand zu sprechen. They'd say mit jemand zu schwätzen, ein bisschen schwätzen, switching over to Bayerisch. My impression of Bayerisch was they seemed to speak a little bit deeper in the throat. I don't know, it's difficult for me to explain the differences in the dialect just because I never really tried to speak the dialect all the time because I was supposed to speak Hochdeutsch and my German was bad enough that I didn't need to try to go into the different dialects. But Ihre Bäuerisch was kind of like a typical phrase. I speak Bayerisch. Ihre Bäuerisch. They seem to cut off a lot of the, they shorten words, they conjugate their verbs a little bit less. And your R's, in German there's like 3 different R's you can use. You roll the R in the front of your mouth, you roll the R in the back of your mouth, and then there's like this really deep just R that you use. In Bayern, they roll all of their R's in the front. So Ihre Bäuerisch. And that's fun, but like I said, I don't know why, I just really like Schwäbisch, it just kind of had this fun sound to it. So, Schwäbisch is primarily spoken in Baden-Württemberg, in Schwabenland, as it's called. I think I'm mixing those two up. My geography is not the best, I'll admit that. But when you get closer to the west end of the mission, you'll hear more Schwäbisch. Bayerisch is spoken throughout Bayern, so a little bit more the central part of Germany, or not central part of Germany, but the central part of our mission, my mission. Yeah. Of my mission. So Munich, and then a little bit heading west, and then more into south, and then into Austria. It's hard to say exactly where the dialects kind of pick up and end, and then switch to the next dialect, because in certain areas, each city can have its own dialect. It was a lot like that in my second area, in Haag. We're much more in the rural areas of Upper Austria. There was a different dialect for every single city. And then all of the large cities tend to have kind of their own variation of the dialect, like I was saying. Vienna had Wienerisch, Salzburg, you have Salzburgerisch, and then Munich you have Bayerisch, and And then you go in more west, Stuttgart, into that area is where you hear more of the Slavish, or the Slavish and English and Swedish. Yeah. And then in Switzerland is where you get the Swiss German, the Schweizerdeutsch, which, like I said earlier, is considered by most German-speaking people a completely different language.